Hello, it's Lynn Watts here, and today I want to talk about journaling and specifically how journaling can help students with setting goals and following through on accomplishing goals. I think that certainly we all know what journaling is, that it's writing down thoughts on paper, and at least that's the kind of journaling I'm going to talk about. Of course, it is possible to set up a journal and do it online, and to type things into a computer. I'm specifically today, though, going to be talking about actually writing in a notebook or some other designated product that is considered to be a journal. And you'll see why in just a few minutes. So I'm going to tell you 10 different reasons that journaling can be a very effective tool for students, really for all of us, but especially for students. And getting in the habit of journaling can certainly be helpful. So, the first reason that journaling can be a great resource, especially in terms of setting goals and following through on goals, is that journaling encourages self reflection. So, of course, when you're journaling, you're sitting at uh, some designated location and working in terms of writing down your thoughts. And so often, none of us take the time to be quiet and engage in I'm going to say targeted self reflection, because we're all the time thinking and, engaging with that inner voice, but actually writing it down certainly makes a big difference. So, journaling encourages self reflection. Another thing that journaling can do is it can clarify thoughts. So there's something about putting something down on a piece of paper and then looking back at it that can help slow our thought process down, can help us clarify the direction we want to go, especially if we're making some decisions. Journaling certainly can be a very valuable tool for clarifying thoughts. Another thing that journaling can do, especially through writing, is that it creates ownership. So it's not just a matter of thinking about goals that someone else maybe wants us to set, or expectations that others have. But when we actually write it down as a goal for ourselves, we're creating some ownership of that goal. And we are committing to it in a very different way than if we simply talk about it or think about it. So, writing something down and journaling in terms of goals creates ownership. Another thing that writing can do is it develops creativity. So it can help someone with thinking outside the box, with coming up with different alternatives, with perhaps thinking of goals in different ways. So writing can be very creative if someone really engages in the process and isn't resistant to it, or perhaps doesn't have difficulty with it. So, of course, writing in terms of journaling does assume that somebody has the capability to do that and that they can do it with some amount of ease. This is not to say it isn't challenging for all of us to actually find the time and put things on paper, but if it is overly challenging, then that could certainly get in the way of all of these advantages. So I do have to recognize that. So writing can develop creativity. Another thing that is, I think, excellent about writing is that there are really fewer distractions. If you are engaged in trying to type something online on the computer, we all know that there's all kinds of distractions through the computer and through that process that can certainly get in the way of sticking to it. So this is not to say that you couldn't be distracted in whatever environment you're sitting and writing in, but ideally you would minimize those distractions in order to do it. The computer certainly has lots of distractions built in. So I think writing can help someone be more focused and stick with the process. There's some research that has shown that actually writing things down makes us more successful at accomplishing those goals. I think there have been a few challenges as to studies that people often cite in terms of writing down goals, but there is some research that shows that simply putting it down on paper means that we're making more of a commitment to it, and so that there's more follow through, and then we become more successful. The other piece of that that isn't always mentioned is writing it down and sharing it with someone ensures even greater success with goals. So I would encourage you, if you are working with some students in terms of journaling and creating goals, to not only have them write down the goals, but then find a way of sharing that with somebody that they would get some support from. We do know that writing stimulates the brain, and it stimulates the brain in very different ways than just typing can do. One way that it stimulates the brain is that it stimulates the reticular activating system, which means that we then begin noticing things related to what we have written down. So if we have a goal about improving grades or improving attendance or any one of a variety of things that we might set a goal for, then once we have it in writing, and especially if we have a way of documenting progress on that, then there's a good chance that our brain is going to not only remember that, but notice opportunities to be successful with that goal. So it does activate that RAS, as it's called, that part of the brain. Another thing that we know is that when we form letters, writing, that it also stimulates the brain in a very different way than when we are just typing, when we're just pushing buttons. So actually creating the letters and writing can create a different area of the brain, and it means that the message that we're writing is more easily imprinted, more easily remembered, and of course, something that we remember, we're going to be more likely to accomplish. And then the final thing that we can do with writing, which is not exclusive to writing in a journal, you could certainly do this on a computer, but I think it is often easier to document success. So whether we create a chart or whether on a daily basis, we just put down how many sit-ups we did when we have a goal of doing X number by the end of the month, or some such thing as that. It's easy. Many times it's much easier to write down simply that number of what you've accomplished. It's easier to do than starting your computer and finding the chart and then putting it there. You can certainly document things on the computer, but I think writing makes it very simple. So there you go. There are 10 reasons why journaling can be a very successful way to help students focus on goals and accomplish their goals in the new year. So it's Lynn Watts again, and thanks again for listening.